You speak about ego worship as opposed to authentic multidimensional worship, which you call actual worship. You speak about the submission and release of the ego beyond the identification with our roles and stepping into the awareness that the Creator is the only power existing. You said we can focus beyond the created world and become aware that our cause is before us. You spoke about one universal experience. I would like you to elaborate on that or simplify these concepts.
All right, so this is a good question, the question about worship. What is actual worship? So the questions that you ask me lead us to this as a natural consequence, because we've been talking about operating egoically and operating spiritually. I said we have a body, we have a mind, we have emotions, but we don't have a spirit. We are the spirit. We are the vibrational, energetic, multidimensional being that is beyond time and space. That's what we are. And we can experience ourselves as expanded beings with this energy of peace and joy and trust and faith and so on. So we can operate egoically or multidimensionally. And so ego worship is based in beliefs, the mind's beliefs and ideas and ideologies. It's a role. And so different people identified with their egos will think that they are worshipping, but what they're really doing is identification with the role or belief system, identification with the ritual system. They are still in time and space. Authentic worship, as practiced by Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Abraham, and others from the Middle East and from the Far East in Taoism, or in the East, in India as Advaita Vedanta, or in the West as non-dualism, etc., etc. It's the submission of the ego and focusing on the oneness that alone really is, beyond time and space, beyond this realm, the creator of this realm, and the creator of everything that exists within this realm. We can not only disidentify from our minds and our bodies and our emotions, but through actual worship, which is focusing beyond the created world, we can actually realize there is before us our cause, because of whom we are and everything is, in whose care we always are in, the one that really is actual, beyond us, who is apparent, and everything in this world is apparent. There is the one dynamic. We are static. We are effect. God is cause. God is causative. We are consequence. Nobody and nothing created is in any way relevant, as God alone is relevant. So when we worship authentically, there's a universal worship. Remember, we are one human family. We are one people. And there is one faith, not one religion, like one cultural identity. There is one universal faith. I remind you that Moses never said, I'm a Jew. Jesus didn't say, I'm a Christian. Muhammad never said, I'm a Mohammedan. They were engaged in a universal experience. In their language, they spoke of Ikhad and Ahad, which is like the root word coming from Tawheed, the onlyness of the one, the actuality of the one, and the apparency of that which it has created. So if you heard me speak about this, I speak of the torch analogy. The torch, in a sense, is God, separate and independent of the light of beam that it produces. The beam of light that it produces. The torch is separate from the beam of light that it produces. It's independent. The torch exists while the beam of light apparently exists, because the torch is actual. So when we recognize that we are temporary created beings, produced beings in a temporary created world, and that our Creator alone really is actual, powerful, causative, creative, able, knowledgeable. This is a certain type of relationship between the creation and the Creator, where the Creator alone is separate and independent of the creation. We are not separate and independent, so there's no relationship between us and God as two separate entities. Only God really exists, unique and supreme. We apparently exist only because God exists. Only because God really is, we are. Without God, there is no us. There is no us. This world doesn't exist. There's no light beam without the torch. The torch and the light beam do not exist as two separate entities. You get what I mean? Two separate, independent things. The light beam cannot really relate to the torch. It can't really influence the torch because it's a product of the torch. It's not real. It's temporary. It's produced. The torch is not produced by the light beam. In our analogy, the torch always is. God always is. Beyond that which it created, because of whom that which is created is. We are the creation of God, always in the care of God. Caused to be by God, not by us or anybody else or anything in the world. Continued to be, not because of us or anything in the world, but because of the one beyond this world, because of whom this world exists, benevolent and beneficent, one universal, unique and supreme, all great, all gracious power, blessing us and benefiting us. So, actual worship is beyond ego worship. Actual worship allows us to drop the ego, to disidentify from the ego at the highest level of release and experience the highest level of connection. Thank you for that question as well.